This pocket change is taking on fear and failure. Fear and failure are two really dominant narratives when we talk about change, and I reckon they're probably the least helpful. There is loads of clickbait content out there claiming that massive percentages of changes fail and that the biggest blockers to change is fear. Most of it comes from a good place to warn you that change isn't always heaps of fun, but lots of it gets misused or misguided. This is my take on it. We'll start with failure. Now, I am not sat here with my rose tinted glasses on, throwing up petals across a wasteland of failed change. I know change doesn't go to plan. It doesn't because people are involved, and people are literally a pain in the arse. But getting hung up on out of date research from the best part of 15 years ago that was probably based on people and organisations that are nothing like you and yours is not going to get you very far. Letting somebody else's perceptions of failure cloud your judgment is really dangerous, to the point of debilitating. Lots of consultancies lead with it to get you to buy. And when you've bought, you'll still fail because you didn't ever have the honest conversation about what success looks like. You never agreed what was good enough, and instead you have a pile of PowerPoint slides and a box of tissues to help you wipe away your tears. In order to avoid being a failure statistic, we want to know what your change will look like if it's not absolutely perfect. When we think about done and outcomes, everybody targets perfection or 100% or this perfect end goal that we've told ourselves that we need. But realistically, unless your change is the line between you and maybe going to prison, you don't ever need 100%. We reckon that 75% to 80% is a perfect target for any change. Think about what would happen if you only delivered 80% of the change that you needed. Would anything fall off? Would anybody fall down? Or would it give a chance for your people to sit into the change, to relax, to get back to work, to stop worrying? I reckon I know the answer to that, but this is your change, not mine. But when we talk about failure, it's pitched like it's some sort of explosion with mass casualties. But most days and for most changes, something's a bit late, it's a bit more expensive, and it's not as impressive as we'd promised the board. In order for you to make the best and most consistent decisions, challenge yourself to know what your tolerances are and to be really transparent with them. Be really clear if you're only shooting for 80% and make sure it's the best 80% that you can get your hands on. This is how we want to help our people get better at failing. And I don't mean that in a glamorized fail quick. I don't mean it in the way that Spotify or Google or Apple did it. Your organizations will be nothing like them, but they will be there for your people. So let's make the changes for them rather than for anybody else. And when we've squared the circle with failure, let's talk about fear. If I'm honest, I'm not really sure it's a thing, at least not one we should be worrying about. I don't need to know anything about your change or your organisation or how you're implementing it to tell you why it's being met with grumbles. People will give you 100 different reasons why they don't like what you are selling. Listen to them. Most of them are valid and will help you improve your chances of success. Underlying it all will be uncertainty. And that's not personal to you or your change. It's human. Human beings are hardwired to wobble during change. It's our brain's fault. Change equals uncertainty, and uncertainty creates danger. Danger makes us feel anxious and fearful. So to keep us safe, our brains make up hundreds of unproven stories every day to make it feel better. And most of us go straight to worst case scenarios. I am not calling you a drama queen, but we will over-personalise threats, we will jump to conclusions, and we will underestimate our ability to handle any of it. It is a primal response. We literally love to stick to the status quo, even if it is not the most efficient or effective way of doing things. It's familiar, it's comfortable, and it's predictable. Take a minute to cross your arms. Feels all right, doesn't it? For most of us who went to school in the UK, for most of our kids, we will have been told to sit on a mat and cross our arms. We've been doing it for years. It's familiar. It's part of our culture. It's part of our way. But now try and cross them the other way around. I can't even see you, and I can imagine what you're doing. You're either going to have no idea how to do it, it will feel weird or uncomfortable, or you are not going to even try because some stranger is asking you to do something that you don't know why, you don't understand, and it seems daft. That's what happens when we ask our people to change. We create this feeling of unsure. We create moments of sharp intakes of breath, of embarrassment, of nervousness, because we ask people to think and do differently without clarity and without purpose. Your brain will do almost anything to find certainty. It's less stressful to know you're going to miss your train than it is wondering whether you will or not. When you know something for certain, you can start to accommodate the outcome, whatever that is. So when people rock up with their great idea to improve stuff, most people simply won't want to do it, even when they agree that doing something differently might work better. Actually doing it is sometimes just too much. And some will respond so negatively, you'll wonder what in the hell is wrong with them. Go easy. They're dealing with a whole lot more than your proposal. This stuff runs deep, really deep. So what in the hell can you do with all that? You remember that you're dealing with humans. It doesn't matter how many, and you acknowledge it. You acknowledge that this stuff feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it's really bloody uncomfortable. There are questions, people are worried, and that's okay. What concerns can you alleviate immediately? What do you not have answers for? And why? When will you know? Meet your people. You talk to them. You listen. You take on board what they say. You may need to adjust what you are doing or when you are doing it or how you are doing it. Sounds like too much work? Too difficult? Too long? Then try implementing the change without listening to your people, without addressing their very real concerns or without responding to what people are telling you. It will be really bloody difficult, if not impossible, and it will probably go wrong. To protect your chances of success, and most probably your mental health in the progress, expect people to push back on your change. Welcome it if you can. This is where you can find out what will really trip you up, that will create a problem in your project, and you will find out before the board meeting. Go where the noise is. If people are resisting your change and being vocal about it, go and listen. Don't avoid it. Go where the party is. Acknowledge and lean into the fact that this is uncomfortable stuff. Don't be patronising. They're not children and people aren't stupid. Be open about what you know and what you don't know. Take time to listen. I can never ever say this enough. If the feedback you are hearing is suggesting that maybe you need to change course or do something differently, make the adjustments or adaptations. Show people by what you do that you are listening to them and they are being heard. Tell people. Like you said we did that you see in a sports centre. Demonstrate that people are influencing what is happening and how it's happening. But you also need to be mindful that you will not make all of the grumbles go away. You cannot make people better at coping with uncertainty. It's a mindset change that's not something you can change overnight and it's not something you can control. To make them more comfortable, you can help them find the opportunities in the change. You can help them focus on what they can control. And you can try and let your enthusiasm for the unknown rub off on them. But you cannot do it for them. Accept it is part of the process and you're halfway there. People don't actually fear change. People worry and fret about the unknown, about the terrible ideas becoming reality, and even more so, crap implementation that leaves everyone feeling just a little bit pissed off. If your change is suffering because your people aren't on board or they're sabotaging what you are doing, probably not in the most dramatic sense of I've just made that sound, you need to find out why. People derail change because they disagree with the actual change itself. It might jar with their belief systems or expectations. Maybe the way you're going about it is making them feel unseen or disregarded, overwhelmed or overworked. They directly and negatively impacted by the change. Or they have literally no idea what you are on about. And unfortunately, it's more likely to be the last one than anything else. All of these responses are okay. They're all human responses and they're all solvable. And not one of them has anything to do with fear. Fear comes from a narrative that it's an individual's fault, that they need to be coerced into change. But if we break down the pushback we get from our people, it's often the small and really bloody normal stuff because people, we just don't really like change. People will feel they're being ignored, that they don't understand what's being asked of them. They don't have the time or space to engage or question or challenge. Maybe it's not what you promised them, or it will feel unfair and inconsistent, either from their experiences or the experiences of their friends. And the causes of all of these pain points aren't rooted in people being fearful of change. It's that you aren't giving them what they need to make decisions, build understanding, or to make process. And that's on you, not them.